Edmund Wright joins me now. How are you, sir?
Wonderful. How are you?
Doing fine. You are from the American Thinker. You're a political expert, political communications director for the past presidential campaign, an editorialist. You do a lot of things. But you,
anytime you want to say expert, go right ahead. I'll go through that.
Very good. But you have some interesting writing about union busting and what's going on in Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana, New York. Is it union busting, first of all, and is that a good thing?
Well, first of all, it's not as close to union busting as I wish it was. And yes, with regard to public sector unions, and I'm not a big fan of private sector unions, but that's a different story. With regard to public sector unions, it would definitely be a good thing if they were busted. And if you want the proof, why don't you look at every government, be it a municipality, a county, or a state, that has public sector unions and check their balance sheet. I think that's a pretty compelling case.
Well, that's a good point. Now, what is the difference in your mind? Just give me the quick overview of why the private sector ones are different. I have my opinions on it. I just want to make sure I understand you.
Okay. Well, first of all, when you have a private sector union, you have a company's board of directors, CEO, whoever, that they understand what the cash flow is for that company, and they decide in a negotiation with the union bosses how much of it can go to payroll and benefit for the employees. So you have that tension there with both sides of the table represented, and the invisible hand of reality, i.e. a company's operating revenue, guiding the whole process. Now take it to a government collective bargaining. What you don't have, first of all, is you don't have anyone who guards the taxpayer money as jealously as a board of directors and a CEO is going to guard a company's money. And the second thing you don't have is you don't have the invisible hand of reality there, because they're always just promising more and more and more to get the union vote and then just sticking it to the taxpayers later. So you really have a bargaining table where there ain't no fannies in the chairs on one side of the table.
I think that's good points. One thing I would add to it is you also, with your private sector scenario, you don't have union members that are giving money to the board of directors, the managers, or whatever, in order to get a better deal themselves, which is what happens in the private sector. They donate to, or the public sector, they donate to political campaigns with the dues that some of them are even forced to pay. They back certain candidates. Then when those candidates get in office, they say, we're going to go ahead and bargain with them. I mean, that's a conflict of interest right there.
Oh, it's a huge conflict of interest. And yes, your point is well taken, and you're exactly right on that. And my point on the other analogy was that, you know, even if it's a politician who the union did not support, that you still can't expect that politician to have that same feeling of ownership of tax money that a company owner is going to have, with his company's money. So, but yes, in your scenario, it's incestuous. It's just ridiculous.
All right, so as we move forward, do you think this is going to happen in Wisconsin? What do you think is going to happen? There's people say, well, they're handling it wrong up there. It's just going to energize people on the left. Is this going to have political fallout? Where are we heading?
Well, first of all, it's going to energize people on the left, which is a good thing, because people in the middle and people in the right are going to be able to tune into their local cable TV channel, and they're going to see the people of the left for who they are, greedy they are, for how they don't care that us in the private sector are losing our jobs, losing our pensions, losing our home values. They still insist we pay them unsustainable, gold-plated health care and retirement plans that were promised by people who really had no right to promise that.
All right, I appreciate you joining me. It's Edmund Wright from the American Thinker, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and link to your most recent article. People can check it out for themselves. I appreciate your thoughts on it, though, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, I want to get an update now. Dan Hennessey from the Lebanon Tea Party. He is in Columbus. Where are you, Dan?
I'm actually in the state capitol building, and just got done talking to my state senator, Shannon Jones, and told her how much support and how much courage I think she has, and I appreciate all the things she's done.
Wait a minute, Dan. You're saying that about her, but she hasn't been there all that long.
No, but when you have friends that stand up for things they believe in the face of great adversity, I don't think they should stand alone. And I for one, I know how much. This is my third time I've been up here in the past 2 weeks. I've had friends pushed. I've had people sworn at. I've had intimidation thrown at us. I know what it takes to get things done here. And the courage she's shown in the face of that, I am so impressed with her as a person.
You know, that's funny because when Senator Seitz was on with Willie yesterday, he didn't have that type of praise for her. It basically came out that she hasn't been there a long time, and you know, Bill has been there a long time. Dan, he's been there a long time, and Shannon hasn't.
The day in politics where the length of service you've given to your political career, that day is over. It doesn't matter how long you've served. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It's where our country's at right now. We're in trouble. We're in trouble as a nation. We're in trouble as a state. And people got to step up to the plate no matter how long they serve. And I can tell you with Senator Jones, she's really stepped up to the plate on this one.
All right, so what's happening today? Is there the same big, hey, we don't want SB5, hey, we do want SB5 back and forth?
Actually, no. There's nobody here, and it's more business as usual, and which is really nice, which is why I came up today, because I wanted to individually talk to my state rep, my state senator, and see what kind of support I could give and how I could help them.
Wow, I just assumed that it would be flooded. I mean, you know, Wisconsin, Madison, people still there each and every day, been camping out. I wonder why the change in Ohio.
Because none of the bills are being talked about today. The press isn't here, so nobody shows up. That's when the normal people, the average hardworking person like myself can get up here and talk to the state senators, talk to the state reps, and really make a difference. So we don't have to shout our opinions. We can go reasonably talk to people. And I think most state senators and most state reps, secretly, they all know our state's broke, our country's broke, and we have to do something different. And this Senate Bill 5, this is just the start of some of the things that we have to change in our country and in our state.
Are you getting the sense? I mean, yesterday Bill Seitz, senator, was on with Willie, as I mentioned, and he was basically saying that it doesn't have the support out of the Senate. There's a lot of Republican senators in swing districts that aren't behind it because basically they don't want to lose their job. Have you heard anything? Is that accurate? Is it not accurate? Do you even know?
One, we shouldn't even care. We shouldn't care if they got the votes, they don't got the votes. It's either the right thing to do or it's not the right thing to do. And it infuriates people like me who are just normal people and look at somebody and says, well, we elected you to do a job, not to find out what's the best political solution, not to find out how you can keep your job or your friends can keep your job. We elected you to do something important, something that's on our best interest. And I tell you, this bill is in our best interest, and I would be really disappointed in any Republican who had weak knees and wavered on this because of the political calculations of whether they can keep their job or not. I would be extremely disappointed.
All right. Any other future protests, any Tea Party groups heading up there? Have you heard, will there be the people in oppose, the union groups? Are they going up? Is there any other testimony that's going to be given?
Oh, this testimony will go on for some time. They've had a lot of hearings already, but the bill is not set any time for passage. There's nothing set in stone, so I'm sure there'll be other dates and other times. I'll be up here probably twice a week at least, trying to get my point across and trying to work with people and letting people know that the normal person in Ohio supports this kind of bill. I think this bill only affects 6.5% of the employment, people employed in Ohio. So the majority of Americans look at this and say, hey, we need to do something different, and this is a good start.
Dan, do you hate cops? Do you hate firefighters? Do you hate teachers?
I'll tell you the truth. I'm a Republican, but I am pro-union. I come from a union background. I have a teaching degree. My dad's a teacher. My sister's a teacher. My grandpa was in the Wheeling Steel Union. I understand the importance of unions. It's just that we're broke, and we have to come to some sort of reality. I would compare it to, I'm a realtor, and I have some rental property. If I go up to a house and they say they can't pay rent, but they have their TV on, the lights are on, they're drinking a Coke, they're having cigarettes, I'm going to look at them and say they're spending their money on things besides rent. We need to come to terms. If we're going to say we're broke, we need to act like we're broke. And I think that's what politicians and that's what the people have to really come to terms with. Are we really broke? And if we are, we need to start acting like it.
Are you trying to lay this on in the laps of just union public employee workers as far as all of the problems? Or are you also saying, hey, we've got other pieces. We got politicians that are screwing up. There's people they shouldn't be hiring. They're protecting themselves like union members are. We're overspending all kind. Are you willing to say all of those things?
First, there's been some great union people that I'm sure have fought for our country. There are some great union people in our history. Union, just because you belong in a union, just because you're part of a union, that's not a bad thing. You could be a great person, you could believe all the things, and unions are important. It's the leadership of the unions and where they're taking our country and where they're taking our state That's the problem that we have. They've the way they've negotiated their stuff, they're not negotiating the best interest of the people. They're negotiating the best interest of just that union. And that's not the union workers' fault. I'm a friend of the union. I'm just disappointed in union leadership and where they're taking the state.
All right, a couple other things, too, and this is something, again, things that came up with Senator Seitz yesterday. He brought up the thing of, well, they should read the bill. That's something Republicans complained when it came to, the health care bill, the Obamacare, and he's right, they should read the bill. But he gave the impression that there was this sense of urgency that people were trying to pass Senate Bill 5 tomorrow. And I was like, wow, he's right. We should read the bill. People should know what's in it. There should be time for it to be debated. But that's what's been going on for a couple weeks. Very different than Obamacare.
Absolutely. I can tell you, since I've been up here several times, believe me, everyone's heard from everyone. There's been a ton of people up here. You can come up here and talk to your state senator, state rep every day if you wanted to, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Everyone's had their say, and they'll continue to have their say until it's done. And then we need to take a vote and see where people stand. And as I said, I would be really disappointed in Republicans who looked at this bill and said, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this because of political calculations. That's the problem I would have.
All right, Dan Hennessey from the Lebanon Tea Party. I appreciate you joining me from Columbus today.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Thank
you. I really appreciate it. There's good information out there. And one final thing when it came to Bill Seitz yesterday with Willie. The idea that because this is a small amount of money compared with the $10 billion hole that we have in Ohio's budget doesn't mean it's okay to not tackle it. Doesn't mean it's okay that we don't take it on and say, all right, we got to do something about it. It does add to the big picture. You're still talking about millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, it may not be the billions of dollars, but this stuff adds up. Yeah, there's plenty of other things to tackle. That's the reason I was talking about the outrageous spending in Hamilton County today to hire somebody. When you don't have money for cops and firefighters and you're going to hire somebody to cut the red tape for business. You don't have the money, you don't have the money. Cut all of it. It's Doc Thompson, 700 WL. All right, I got some interesting statistics for you out of Wisconsin. According to the U.S. Department of Education, 2/3 of 8th graders in Wisconsin's public schools cannot read. 2/3 of 8th graders in Wisconsin's public schools cannot read. Only 32% of Wisconsin's public schools, 8th graders, earned a proficient rating. Just 2% earned an advanced rating, while the other 66% of Wisconsin public school 8th graders earned a below proficient reading score. Wisconsin spends more per pupil in its public schools than any other state in the Midwest. And even though they spend that much and have doubled down on spending over the last 20 years, the abilities of 8th graders to read have not improved between 98 and now. They've doubled down the spending. The kids are not reading. They're not graduating more. They're not reading more. So what's the problem? Sounds to me like the teachers. Sounds to me like the teacher and the administrators, whether it's the policy set forth by the administrators and the school board, or the teachers, probably a combination of the two, they're not getting the job done, and it has nothing to do with spending. Very, very interesting. My question is, if you've got 2/3 of the students not being able, 8th graders not being able to read, it sounds like the teachers went on strike a long time ago, doesn't it? And when it comes to the bill that they're so upset about, the legislation in Wisconsin, how do the Wisconsin teachers know the bill is bad for them? Because if they went to Wisconsin public schools, they can't read. It's Doc Thompson, home of the Reds, 700 WL.
Let's go!
All righty, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, the end of the Doc Thompson Show. But before we go, as always, let's find out what we learned today. We learned that when asked if you have seen the little piggies, you can respond, yes, they're my elected servants. We've learned that Sheila Jackson Lee wants parking tickets to be $750 each. We've learned that if teachers in Wisconsin went to Wisconsin schools, they haven't read the bill because they can't. We've learned that it may speed up immigration enforcement if we start dropping the illegals off at the homes of senators and congressmen. We've learned that the first thing that the new Hamilton County red tape cutter should do is cut himself. We also learned that Ohio Senator Bill Seitz was against the death tax before he was for it. Have a great day. Good night, Steve Cannon, wherever you are. On Young. Now, go home.